everybody, Gina Mizell here alongside Danny Moran. We are at Oregon State practice on Tuesday, and of course it was a defensive availability day, and now 10 quarters basically that the Oregon State defense has played pretty darn well, and coaches and players say that it's a simple thing of guys are finally buying into their system. Just, you know, what were your impressions of what Kalani Sitake said today about the progress?
Yeah, I think that, and also the young guys too. I mean, a lot of what Gary Anderson and Kalani Sitake are talking about right now in the final 4 games is doing it for the seniors, and it's an outside chance, but they still are talking about winning the next 4, which would make them bowl eligible and extending that season. But for me, it's a lot of the young guys stepping up. And you talked to Jonathan Willis today. I talked to Baker Pritchard, some of those guys who have recently made their first starts, and Willis had 11 tackles, Pritchard had 9. Sitake, of course, defended, not defended, but kind of spread the praise to a lot of the other guys, setting things up for them.
Sure.
But to see those guys starting to get it, particularly in a hostile Utah environment that they quieted a bit, that's a positive sign to see going forward.
Yeah, I'll be writing about Jonathan Willis later on today. Like you mentioned, 11 tackles, and has really emerged. He was a really big special teams contributor during the early part of the season, but his hands, his footwork, a lot of technique stuff has really allowed him to, you know, put himself in a position to be a big playmaker in the middle of that defense. You talked to Baker Pritchard, just kind of what were his impressions of why he's kind of elevated himself over the last couple weeks?
I think, I mean, he, you know, puts faith in the coaches. I mean, it's like everyone's kind of, you know, shifting the praise back and forth, and I think, I mean, what Sitake has said, you know, in part, you don't want to be all about praise in a loss, even though I think, you know, the team performed above expectations. But for him, being undersized, I mean, he's used his speed well, and he's more athletic than a lot of tackles that he faces. So I talked to Coach Chad too, the defensive line coach, and you know, plan for the future for him is to get his weight up, but not to the point where he loses that speed and that athleticism. So I think that's the thing for a lot of the guys on the defensive line at this point. Of
course, UCLA comes to Reser Stadium on Saturday. Josh Rosen, the super hyped up freshman. Paul Perkins is an underrated running back in this league. Just, you know, how do you see them stacking up in that matchup?
Well, it's in a, you mean for the defense?
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. You know, Rosen gives him a bit of a different challenge, not really that mobile, but throws a good deep ball. Perkins is, you know, healthy, but, you know, had what looked to be potentially a serious knee injury against Cal the week before, but performed well. It'll be a challenge, but I mean, I thought Utah would be a challenge. It was kind of, Utah was the step after 4 good quarters against Colorado and 2 against Washington State to see, okay, is what they've talked about buying in legit? And I think now it elevates again. UCLA will be their biggest test. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, of course, the offense will be available following Wednesday's practice. Again, quarterbacks, I'm sure, will be a popular topic. Nick Mitchell was named the starter for this Saturday's game, as Seth Collins did not practice, at least the portion that we were able to watch. Said he is out with a knee injury. So stick with us until then on OregonLive.com and in the Oregonian. And for Danny Moran, I am Gina Mizell. We will catch you next time from Corvallis.